Pan men and the Calypsonian. Scrunting after carnival done. And yet still we keep on jamming. Every year we come out playing. Calypsonian and the Pan man. East, west, north and south. From every part of this island, we make our contribution. Don't leave us out. Remember, we are the ones who make you jump, who make you jump up and prance. We're in the middle of the carnival. We are the ones keep up the bacchanal. We are the ones who make you jump, who make you jump up and prance. Working to make this fun and spring. Greatest summer festivity, and yet we treated Calypsonians and pan men like dirt. All you we weren't. Setting the artists against each other while making up the eye, frustrating the barriers, putting up one against each other in the competition. That is how they keep us apart.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome to Wednesday. We are the ones. As you know, we are the ones where we speak on various issues that impact on us in the community. We look at our community, of course. You know, we're in Point and Villa by extension. We look at the wider community of Antigua and Barbuda and the world, the Tabata move. And I mean, you know, one always has to celebrate important things. And I'm sure the audience would have heard this before. She's posting off. Y'all can't even see this. Y'all cannot see this wicked post that's carrying on here. Happy birthday to you, Tabata. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you, Tabata. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord, may the good Lord, may the good Lord bless you. Yes. We want to wish Tabata a happy birthday. We know she's always here for all of us. Oh, by the way, that voice was borrowed. I have officially sent it back, so nobody asks for a repeat of that, all right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, I just want to mention a few things before we get into our guests, or first guests for this afternoon. And the first thing I want to mention is, I promise to stop being controversial, and we're the ones really not designed to be controversial. But when I was going to school, okay, honestly, at first I couldn't lie because mother was very strict. But any chance I got, St. John's was the happening place to be. And we found ways to be in town without, I don't know, apparently there's a near riot in town from our young people. That's the impression I get. I haven't seen it yet. I'm planning to go and look. But it's been my experience in town. When I see young people and they're getting out of hand, I don't quarrel with them. I go over sweetly, especially if they have on the pink and grey or the grey and white. And I strike up a conversation about, you realize what you have on. You realize you're shaming me. In a nice way. And normally they respond, they appreciate, and they move on. I think those of us as adults in this community have abdicated our responsibilities to our young people. And rather than all of us who are in town, you own your store, you own your whatever, tap pig out pan the picnic and them. They clearly are crying out for some attention and guidance. Give it. I'm not saying that we will fix all of them, but we as adults who seemingly forget that we were young people once upon a time have lost it. And I don't have all the answers. And I hear a lot of people clamoring for after school ain't gonna fix everything. Because we don't have discipline and we don't inculcate a sense of pride and all of that in them, it doesn't matter. Okay, moving off of that. My next little 2 cents before we get to the meat at hand. It's been a funeral week for the people of Point. We've had 2 funerals back to back. The 2 individuals are practically they're not blood, but they're the kind of throw water, run into blood family situations. Yes, I actually just left from the funeral of Esme. Those of us who are from the Booby Alley real Point side would know Esme. Esme came to us as a black man, and she loved all of us in her own way. and her own style. It was very selfless and giving, and I think her funeral is continuing. So I just want to say to the Joseph family, who are partly my family, blood family, and to the Stevens Blackman family, especially my very good friend Shaka, that I send my commiserations. I mean, they both lived full lives. Mr. Joseph was 100, and Nugget was 100 and some kind of funny number. So, he went past the 10 plus plus thing. And as me, she lived a full life. I know we would have all loved to have had more of them, but it was their time, and I think we can just continue to do what we have to do in memory of them, and to remember that life is fleeting. We don't know where we will be tomorrow, so let us make today count. Do what you must, do what you can, live, love, share, do what you need to do, because you don't know where you'll be tomorrow. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow, so give it a love and just live it up. My last point, I don't know if my son is listening. He don't know listen to me in Antigua, never mind. But babes, all the way over there in Timbuktu, in Batumi, Georgia, you and your chess team, I know you're all struggling through, but take it as a learning experience. I'm still expecting to get at least one win before you get back home, and enjoy the experience. When he left, he was quarreling that I gave him all these clothes, warm clothes he had, because Mommy over here is like Antigua temperature, and within 2 days he was like, Mommy's freezing. I wasn't going to be smug about it. I was just saying, you see. Anyways, today we have several guests coming in today. We have a varied potpourri of topics this afternoon, and the first one we have with us Mr. Daryl George. He is the marketing and media, I'm sorry, I put it in the wrong order, the media and marketing officer of the Department of Youth Affairs.
Good afternoon.
And along with him, we have Pastor Stephen Samuels, program officer, also from the Department of Youth Affairs.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Samuels, you have to speak up a little. Let me make sure I don't have you down too low. Go again.
Good afternoon.
That's all the way up, I think. Oh, okay. When I grow up, I'm going to get this right. There's a humming. Yes. And I can't see. Yes. So, good afternoon. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to have both gentlemen with us, and we are going to be looking at the work of the Department of Youth Affairs.
Yes.
And we're going to do a general overview, and then we're going to zero in on some specific programs that are just ahead of us.
Too much humming? Hold on. Let me check.
Yes. Just, audience, if you could bear with us for a few minutes. There is a buzz that is there. I don't know if you guys are hearing it on the outside.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, you hearing it? Okay. So that is. Ooh. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I guess we'll go through. All right. So, gentlemen, tell us about the work. Oh, I can't hear myself. Tell us about the work of the Department of Youth Affairs. Just a general overview.
Sure. Well, the Department of Youth Affairs is the government agency responsible for youth development in Antigua and Barbuda, and we consider youth to be anyone 35 years and under in this context.
What?
Yes, that's right, 35 years and under.
No hope for me.
Sorry, I think you might just be a little bit out of the range.
I wish it was just a little.
Just a little bit.
It's plenty little.
A year or 2 or 5. So
or,
yes.
Or more.
Yes, so we are the government agency responsible for youth development. And our aim is the holistic development of all young persons in Antigua and Barbuda. And when we say holistic, we mean all facets or all areas of personal development, whether it be skills, whether it be education, whether it be, personal development, you name it. We are responsible in terms of assisting the young people in Antigua and Barbuda in their development.
have you set yourselves any key objectives, like any core objectives? I know you cover all aspects of youth development, but most times when persons will be looking at a 3-year, 5-year plan or progression, does the youth department operate within that framework, or you stay within a broad context?
There is a framework in terms of the National Youth Policy that outlines a number of various areas as well as goals in terms of, especially thematic areas, in terms of development. So things like sexual reproductive health, areas such as education, areas such as sustainable livelihoods. Those are some of the areas that are addressed by the National Youth Policy, which I must also point out will be on the review very shortly. The National Youth Policy was approved by Cabinet in 2007, and we think it's about time for a review. But I also want to talk about some of the activities that we're going to be having.
2007?
Yes.
That's like over 10 years.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Which is why it is up for review, and it's something that we will be pursuing within the next year. But I really also want to focus on the recognition of Caribbean Youth Day, which is coming up on September the 30th. That's this Sunday. And we will be having a number of activities around Caribbean Youth Day.
Tell us about that.
Sure. We have a church service on Sunday at the SJPC House of Restoration. Mr. Samuels can tell you a bit more about that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. George. Well, this service is very important, particularly as we consider the nation's youth. So far, we are looking at a number of young people, and so far we are considering about approximately 300 young people. That include as well young people from sporting groups, as well as various schools, and when I say various schools, secondary as well as primary schools. And so in terms of the level of enthusiasm for young people to actually participate in this particular service is very interesting, very enthusiastic. We also realize the importance of the spiritual aspect of our young people. It's very important for their development, and that's one of the reasons why we're looking at the church service as being so significant. Also, we recognize that young people have various needs, coming from various communities, various situations, and so on, and so they have various needs. And we understand the importance of worship, which includes praying and so forth, encouragement. And so we are not just calling them for calling them sake to an activity, but it's a purpose behind this particular activity. And we really want to believe God for great things for the young people, so that they can get a word, they can be motivated, they can be challenged, they can realize their purpose and have that strength, the inspiration to pursue that purpose.
Okay. What's the theme for the week?
We don't have a specific theme. Usually the CARICOM office would have provided a theme, but they have not done so this year. So we are really just recognizing and celebrating youth in all their forms.
Okay. All right. After the church service, what's the next activity?
Sure. On Monday, we are going to be having our volunteer day. And we recognize that it is extremely important for young people to be good civic citizens. I know that a lot of people don't necessarily recognize the rights or responsibilities of young persons under 18, but we think once you are a person in Antigua and Barbuda, you have particular rights and you also have particular responsibilities, and that includes responsibilities to your country, to your community, to your school, and to whatever groups or organizations or people who you work with. So Monday is our volunteer day. We have partnered with CBH as well as the Department of Environment in terms of providing some trees that include shady trees and fruit trees for tree planting that can provide some shade in the future, can even provide some fruits. And we also are working, as I mentioned, with CBH for a cleanup activity. So those schools who may choose to work along with us to help beautify their area, their school, and their community, that is what we're focusing on. However, we are also encouraging schools and youth groups to also come up with your own activities. We're not going to limit any school or community group to those two activities. Those are just the ones that we have at the forefront, but we're inviting anyone who wants to participate. They can feel free to do so.
Tuesday?
On Tuesday, we'll be having our youth parliament. You know, that's going to be hot. We will be debating a bill on the decriminalization of marijuana.
The young people are very, very enthusiastic.
How did you select the individuals who will be participating in the parliament?
Well, Miss Rochelle Ellis, who is the Youth Mobilization Officer and who is also the president of the Youth Council and also works with the Youth Ambassador, she would have spoken to a number of schools and tried to get as much representation as possible from the various schools to provide young persons who would be interested, capable, and willing to engage in that debate.
So they will be member of parliament by constituency, or there'll be a different nomenclature?
There will be a different nomenclature.
Okay.
We're not going to be specific. I think we have how many? 12? I think we have about 12 young persons who have already gone through the training, because we have had a short training period.
Nice.
Who have Speaker of the House, and we have different positions. So it's not going to be, specifically along constituency boundary lines, but we really just want to engage them, give them an opportunity to sit down in the House of Parliament to understand what is the process and procedures around debating bills and establishing new laws, and be able to get a bit of the spotlight in terms of how that feels. So it will be broadcast.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. That was my next question. If it will be broadcast, I think I need to pop in on that.
And because we cannot accommodate everyone in the building, so it will be by invitation only. Because
here I was saying I was coming.
Because all of the schools will also be sending their supporting students. You got to cheer on your people. So
is this in any way linked to like the national debate? Because we've just it's a new cycle.
No, it's a separate thing.
Okay. Mr. Samuel?
The important thing about this youth parliament and the bill that they will be debating, it serves a number of purposes. Number one, it provides education on that particular issue, as well as it brings clarity. Another thing, we will be hearing it from the young people perspective, and so that is very important. And you need that level, that body of discussion that can inform us, so that we can be educated and know how to approach and deal with matters, and others can have that particular issue clarified.
I'm curious to see how that goes down.
Right. And that's basically it. As I said, it's going to be just a few activities around the Caribbean Youth Day, and we didn't want to be too excessive this year. So those are the main activities that we're going to be having this year.
Okay, I know the department normally has its own youth week of activities.
Yes.
In which you would you include. I have to ask about this. I'm probably throwing you off your crease, but you normally have like a career day. Yes, I got to tell you that works. I can't speak for everybody, but having interacted with persons who have been through that day, the first time I heard about it, I was like, what can 1 or 2 day do for you? But a lot of the young people that went through that, I must say, have been able to see some have seen new career options. Some have gone into what they thought they wanted to do and realized, no, this is not for me. So that is one thing I know for sure that the department does, that is just, it clicks one time. And I say that because I'm hoping that you have sufficient businesses willing to take on persons, or if you don't, I'm going to now remind especially the business persons who are listening to me that when the department makes a call for support for this particular initiative in their Youth Week, to please support it. Is a very, very, very valuable tool for our young people.
Absolutely. So this year we will not be having that specific activity. What we will
After
be
I
doing,
sound so hard.
what we will be doing actually is our youth exhibition.
Tell
And
me
that is
about
going
that.
to be slightly outside of the period. It's going to be October the 10th.
Mhm.
And we are encouraging young entrepreneurs. The deadline is technically today, but we will still squeeze in a few people. We are inviting young entrepreneurs who have a business, young creatives who have a service or a product, anything that they'd like to display, to get on board. We usually have a very great crowd in terms of our exhibition, upwards of 1,500 people we'll be expecting to be coming through. It will be at the Multipurpose Cultural Center. And of course, the aim or the focus of the exhibition is to give young persons a platform to promote their business, to promote their service, to promote their products to a wider audience. And it will be free, so there will be no cost for registration, which is, again, very important, especially for young entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of capital. And we just want as many young persons as possible who have a business or anything to promote to come along, promote your business, network as well. That is an important thing that a lot of businesses don't concentrate on, but the issue of networking is something that can really propel a business, establishing those linkages, and this will be the perfect opportunity to do so.
Are there any limitations on what one can exhibit? Suppose I have a farm. Can I bring elements of what I do?
We have put in a Jeep inside.
Oh, okay. No
So-
further questions.
Once you can figure out how to get it in there, we will work with you.
What about training? Will the exhibition include any sort of training? I know you said the importance of networking, but because it has been my experience that oftentimes a lot of us, I didn't say youth this time, us across the board, are very poor at networking and utilizing our social skills for networking. So I'm wondering if this would be a good opportunity, especially for those who are participating, to gain some networking skills.
We don't have any training programs for this specific activity. It would be very difficult just because of the fact you will be
At your station
constantly
all day.
interacting with people, pushing your product. So, but we will be working on some entrepreneurship initiatives in the future, but not for this day. This day is really to showcase. This day is for your platform, network, and to meet and greet and to speak to prospective customers and current customers, because there's some businesses who will be able to generate quite a few sales right there on the spot on that day.
Will you be doing any deliberate targeting? For example, maybe inviting the supermarkets, the hotels, and so on to come down to the exhibition that day, so that you make sure that your youth exhibitors get an exposure to not just John public coming through, but to established businesses who could potentially take advantage of the products that they see and make a business connection.
Well, who we're really targeting now is the schools. So we are really encouraging businesses who might have a product or service, especially towards young persons or younger persons, to come. We have not specifically targeted businesses because it really is going to depend on the business itself. Because one business might not be suitable for, say, a supermarket. I might be selling or I might be promoting a service that might not be necessarily relevant for a supermarket or a different type of business. But we're encouraging the public to come out and to support.
I'm going back to the issue of, you said that you want the public to come out and support.
Yes.
But will the young people be able to sell items, or it is just a display?
Sell.
And I'm saying that because, so are you anticipating that since you're targeting the school children, that they would be purchasing?
Some of them will, depending on the product or service. Some of them are not necessarily even, it's about buying or selling, because we have some partners as well who will be advertising their services. For example, Guard Center has been one of the important
that's more
partners who has
that's
come
more
down.
empowerment.
And so it's businesses, it's services, but we have other partners as well who will be also pushing their own products and services that are going to be relevant for the young persons.
Okay. In terms of the work of the department, sorry, is there anything else that you want to mention specific on the exhibit?
Yeah, with the exhibition as well, you find some of the young people in terms of their products and what they offering, as well as their services. They will, as you mentioned, they will sell what they are exhibiting. For example, you will have, I can recall, a bakery. They do those with jewelry, stuff that they will make with their own hands, handcraft stuff. And of course, and they do get some sales at that particular day, and so that is quite encouraging.
Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. Is there anything else? Well, no, wrong question. How is it in general in terms of the work of the youth department and the impact on the community, your target community?
I think we've had a good impact. We have had a number of persons who have been able to push their business a bit more, and as I mentioned, network their business at the youth exhibition. We have had a number of persons who, for example, we would have trained in entrepreneurship through a number of our various products. So, for example, working with the SIBO CARICOM project, where we had startups and entrepreneurs, and coming through the whole business aspect, would have gotten the training, would have come to the exhibition, would have learned how to better promote their products and services, and who would have gone on to even more be able to start their own businesses.
Excellent. So now we will look just.
And I'm definitely thinking of a couple of examples. Sun, Sea, and Cupcakes, I think it is one that has gone from inception. We had a training program within the Department of Youth Affairs. They started the business, they continued, they came to the exhibition, and they're still promoting their business. They still have business, they're still out there selling, and it is becoming more and more profitable.
That's good. Wealth creation is always useful for young people.
Yes.
The general framework of the Department of Youth Affairs, so let's pretend that I fit the age category. Pretend with me, right?
We're not pretending. You're as young as you feel.
Oh, okay, good.
So
that works.
We're gonna interpret you as being in the age category.
Yes.
All right. How do I get to know on a regular basis what are the services that the Youth Affairs Department offers? So let's say I've heard you today, you're speaking specifically about two initiatives, the Caribbean Youth Week, and you're speaking also of the youth exhibition.
Yes.
I want to know what else the youth department has. How do I get to do that?
Facebook page.
What's their Facebook page?
The Antigua and Barbuda Department of Youth Affairs. And we advertise all of our activities on that page. So, for example, we would have also put the call out for exhibitors, for young persons who would like to exhibit on that page. Whenever any activity comes up, that's one of our first ports of call in terms of, registration for various programs, skills training programs, our youth and education empowerment program, the youth literacy program. We generally advertise through Facebook. That is the quickest, easiest, and cheapest way in which that we want to advertise our services.
And how do you measure your success? I know you mentioned, for example, with the exhibition over the years that you've had those persons who have continued into business, but the other areas that you look at, how do you measure the success of the work of the department?
A couple of things I could just say to indicate how we do measure our success. For example, let's take, for instance, the YEEP program, the Youth Education Empowerment Program. Okay, in terms of its objectives and in terms of the students, the registration, number of persons who would have registered and would have taken the exams, and of course, the pass rate, right? And you can really measure, and they've had good success since the first results, as well as the second results. right? So you can measure that. That's a given. The fact speaks for itself right there as it is. For the leadership program, when we outline our objectives, right, in terms of we have an evaluation system where we will conduct our evaluation, so we get the feedback from the students,
Okay.
and able to monitor how they would have carry on from
The point where they were before you intervened.
Right.
Yes, understood.
I can tell you, and for a number of the students, or let me say the participants, I can recall one of them came back to the presentation when we were awarding certificates, and he done it like a couple of years before, and he said thanks because as a result of this program I was able to move to the top of my organization.
Excellent.
So give him the courage, and parents would come back and say thank you. I mean, sometimes with the first and second session, some of the young people quiet, and then from the third, fourth, and fifth, you find they become more vocal. Parents come back and say this, and they carry on. One girl I can recall, she completed A levels, but just quiet personality. You know what I mean? Quiet temperament, personality. And after leadership, I was surprised when they called to say she's actually, they could see the difference, and she's now teaching.
They have come home.
Yeah, so.
I guess you can call Youth Affairs Department home, so they've come home.
You can measure, but we always encourage evaluation.
That's good.
I must commend Mr. George because from day one he insisted that that he highlighted the importance of carrying out evaluation, so we can measure, we can monitor, and we can measure.
Mr. George, you had a program the other day at T.N. Kernan. Was
Yes,
that
we
linked
did.
to the Department of Youth Affairs?
It was on behalf of the Ministry of Social Transformation, which is under which the Department of Youth Affairs falls under. That was a Dads Take Your Child to School Day initiative.
What? Dads Take Your Child
to School Day. Mr. Samuels was there as well.
How was the turnout?
Excellent. We had just around 40 fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers who came out and who expressed their interest. And it's very difficult to get, especially parents, to stay in the morning because
we gotta go right
everybody
now.
has to work. But what really was encouraging was the fact that several of the men said, I spoke to my boss and I explained to them this is more important.
You mean the things that women do all the while?
Yes.
Oh, that thing.
But I want to also stress that the women are wonderful, but I think that we also need to give men an opportunity to step up.
Yeah.
Of course, we give men opportunities. We don't.
We do, but there are a lot of expectations in terms of men and their roles and what they're supposed to do. So what we really need to do is broaden the role, and this is one of the things that we are trying to create within the Ministry of Social Transformation, including the Department of Youth Affairs. Understanding, making better families and making men and women understand how to best parent their children and how to best lead the development of their children. So men don't always have the opportunity. If a man comes into that sort of setting,
men don't always take the opportunity.
If a man is going to come in that type of setting, then it's going to be, how many men and majority women. So we're trying to change that dynamic a bit.
I like the fact that you brought them together, the men together, so they can sit and share their stories and
exactly.
Show them talk about soaps and all, but
so one of the issues is
1 second for those of you who don't understand dialect. I said I'm sure they were speaking about soaps as well.
I didn't hear any talk about soaps. That is all I can say.
Man, listen. Okay, if you didn't hear any talk about soaps, guess what? Y'all weren't there long enough.
I was there from start to finish.
You need a couple more days.
Okay.
So, Daryl, I like what I'm hearing. The only thing left that I would want you to do, perhaps, is to take your program officers and go down to the those hotspots that so concern some of us who just need to just go down to the hotspots and speak to the young people. So maybe we need to just organize some initiatives, get Big Banana to sponsor some pizzas, and have some talk to me sessions there. Anyways, on that note, I want to thank you both again for coming. And time to move my bag. I want to thank you both for coming, and I look forward to the church service on Sunday. Young at Heart people can go.
Yes, the church service is open to the public.
And the youth exhibition, that will be
10th of October.
The 10th of October.
Right.
And I look forward to another Take Your Dad
Take Your Child to
Dad
school.
Take Your Child to school day. Oh,
Yeah.
Dad.
So,
Dad's take your. So
before
mummies
I go-
can't come and take their children to school?
They are used to
And
doing
stay?
that. They're used to doing that. So we want the fathers
You all
there.
had food for them and so on it?
We had some light
You
refreshments.
see,
yes.
when the mummies take their children to school, we don't get light refreshments.
That is something
Okay,
that
this
you need
is
to
start.
speak about.
I'm
No
speaking to
problem.
you. You're the one organizing
Well,
these
the
forums.
All right, so
The
we're
dad
going to
is a
work on
start
that.
with dad, so the mom will
Yes,
follow.
it's a day for dads.
Whatever.
Moms get their days as well, so we
When?
want to make
When?
sure that the dads also get their days and also
Only
allowed
that's
to feel more
marginalized us
comfortable.
all kind of how.
Not at all. Women are extremely important in every family, just as men.
You know I'm teasing, of course.
I know.
So thank you both very much for coming.
Sure.
And I do look forward to having you again. We want to talk some broader issues relating to youth when you're ready to discuss the issue of the National Youth Policy revision.
Yes.
I'd love to be
that's
able to
important.
host a session and participate in that.
No problem. And I just want to remind anyone, if they'd like to get in touch with us at the Department of Youth Affairs, they can always give us a call, 462-6781. That's 462-6781. They can also get me at 481-5326. That's 481-5326. They can email the department at wadadleyyouthdEPT@gmail.com, or they can send us a message via Facebook page, the Antigua and Barbuda Department of Youth Affairs. There is no reason why you cannot contact us because we have so many ways of getting in touch.
That is true.
So we call all the young people in Antigua Barbuda, join us on the 30th of this month, that's Sunday coming, at the SJPC, the Lachlan Benjamin's Drive, 9 a.m. for National Youth Church Service. This service is especially designed for you. See you there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Okay, there you have it. We just had Mr. Darrell George and Pastor Stephen Samuels, both from the Department of Youth Affairs, and they were sharing with us on a number of activities that are coming up for our young people. And I think that is a very fitting start to our program this afternoon, given that we have been hearing in the media in recent times about of so many challenges with our young people. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll go for our commercial break, and we will be right back.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Ladies,
Hi,
are
ladies.
you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Kids, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, if you're ready, Coolers Woods has come on down for a massive buy one, get one free sale. That's right, buy one, get one free on all men's, ladies, and kids, clothing and shoes. Also get 20% off all your appliances. You know when Coolers Woods does a sale, we come really hard. We're already giving you great prices. Now the deal is even sweeter. So visit us on Lower Market Street and take advantage of our latest buy one, get one free sale on all men's, ladies, and kids, clothing and shoes. It's cool and smooth. You know, so we do it.
Got a problem with your vehicle? Well, you must visit Major Muffler on the Sir George Walter Highway, Airport Road. We specialize in muffler, radiator, bushings, tray bushings, bearings, welding fabrication, gas welding, chassis repair, subframe repair, undercoating, arc welding, and much more. Your vehicle will look and feel brand new. Check us out today. We're open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call us at 783-3059, 783-3059. Major Muffler on the Sir George Walter Highway. Pay us a visit today. I bet you can do with some delicious creamy pasta, a big fat juicy burger, a spirits meal, pizza with extra cheese and toppings that you don't plan on sharing with anyone, or maybe it's the finger-licking good chicken from you know where, or it's the spicy fried rice, beefy taco burrito, barbecue chicken, or sweet and sour pork.
That sounds good.
Whatever you're craving, find your restaurant at quickserve.com. Instantly order for delivery or skip the line with our pickup option. Crave, click, eat with Quick Serve. Visit quickserve.com. Quick Serve, delivering awesome food to your door.
A trust fund guarantees the CCJ its independence. How is that possible? Will the funds ever run out? Where will the additional funds come from? Bring your questions to a public forum on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m., featuring none other than the chairman of the Board of Trustees that manages the trust fund of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Dr. Linton Lewis. Another night of thorough discussion on an important aspect of the Caribbean Court of Justice ahead of the November 6th referendum. It's happening on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m. Be informed and make your vote count.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to We Are the Ones on Point FM 99.1. And in studios with us now, our second guests are Miss Samantha Moit. I get this TH. Miss Samantha Moit, the chief nutritionist and the chair of the National Breastfeeding Committee. I just wrote, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are not seeing this, I wrote shorthand and it was so short that not even me. And along with her, we have Dr. Janelle Charles Williams. She is a member of the National Breastfeeding Committee. Also, you know, I just realized I just have Dr. Janelle Charles Williams, member of the National Breastfeeding. Janelle, what do you do for your day job?
My day job? Mm-hmm. I am the communication and marketing manager at the medical benefits scheme.
I know that. I just wanted the general public to know, and I have to find a nice way that this is one and the same person. Ladies, welcome to Point FM.
Thank you.
And welcome to We're the Ones. As I was explaining off air, that We're the Ones, we really strive to bring awareness to issues, and you have already been doing that because I've heard you several times in the week already. But we just give you a little bit more time to be able to, really delve in and digest and make sure the audience get it. And I'm going to start at the end because I have a question. I've had a question since I saw Dr. Charles Williams. She had was it a video? She had something up just after she had done her PhD studies in breastfeeding. And there was something, and there was this thing about your child should be breastfeeding up until
whenever.
Some kind of funny plenty time. I mean, we're going to discuss the breastfeeding awareness week, right? Lady Chair, but I have to ask her this. There's plenty time. Notice how I say it? Total Antiguan. Plenty time. What story that woman?
So, the WHO, World Health Organization, and the Ministry of Health says exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months.
6?
Yes. And thereafter, you can continue until 2, but by 6 months, you would have introduced other foods, nutritious foods. 6? And if you and baby want to, you can continue until.
Until when? Until when?
When you and baby decide that's it. So you have some people talk about 3 years old, 4 years old, 5-year-old, 6 year old.
And it's healthy.
And it's normal.
It's normal.
As well?
It's normal. You would be surprised, especially this week, since we've been talking to a lot more moms, how many women are still breastfeeding and their child is 5 and 6. I mean, we don't see it out in the public, but it occurs.
In the evenings, and baby use it as a form of comfort, being close to
You can lie down next to me and cuddle.
That's a way of feeling secure, and so it's another way of cuddling.
Jerry, ask her, darling, wherever you are, I apologize. Mommy cut your breast milk at 4 months. I thought it was 3, so I was quite thrilled to know I went a whole extra month. I mean, I was short. She's her bread. I feel bad. All right. So on a serious note now, Miss Moit, tell us about the breastfeeding week.
Okay. So every year, Breastfeeding Week is celebrated actually in August, the first week in August worldwide. However, because we celebrate Carnival that same time, we usually just shift our event until the end of September. So this year, the theme is Breastfeeding Foundation for Life, and we decided we needed to take it back to the grassroots when it comes to breastfeeding for both the mother and for the healthcare worker. Janelle, who was through her research, found this wonderful event called the Latch On. The Big Latch On, that's what it's called.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Big Latch On, where you can get moms together who are breastfeeding, and she called it the kumbaya moment. But so far, it actually is like a kumbaya moment.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Because I have been trying to figure out, okay, I understand you go ahead. Let me not try and unpuzzle myself.
So the reasoning behind this, why we're getting back to the foundation, and I'm happy for that theme, that international theme, is that in Antigua, our rate of exclusive breastfeeding is only at about 30% between 4 to 6 weeks age. So the baby is 4 to 6
That's all?
Yes. So that means...
You have empirical data to back this up?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that means moms are...
That's what the data is saying. Government statistics.
That like a bit.
Yes.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I meant that is a little bit.
Yes, we understand.
There were some people who were concerned about my use of the dialect. So when I throw it in, I explain.
Okay. So moms are introducing formula way too early, and that's our concern. So we wanted to reach out to the moms, reach out to the healthcare workers, and reaching out to the healthcare workers this time, we do sessions every year or twice a year sometimes on breastfeeding, but we wanted our healthcare providers to understand the best way to get across that message of exclusive breastfeeding, the benefits to the mom, selling it to the mom almost, because we don't think the moms are getting it because of this low percentage.
So what are the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding?
Well, so where do we start? Let's start with the baby.
And for those of you who are not seeing her on Facebook, she lit up like a Christmas tree.
So the benefits to baby is, wide and varied. So one of the first benefits to baby is that it acts as almost like a first vaccine. That colostrum coats the baby's stomach, preventing lots of childhood illnesses such as diarrhea, vomiting, flu, just general illnesses. So it helps to protect the child that way. It helps in brain development. It promotes jaw development. And when I say jaw development, sucking on a nipple, the human nipple, is different from sucking on an artificial nipple. So that is why when we educate moms about introducing the bottle too early, babies will always want to go for the artificial nipple because it's easier. It's easier for them to suck it compared to... Yes. So, and the milk...
you can see the hole right there. I can't see no... Oh, sorry. I'm looking badly.
So it improves their jaw, their jaw muscle sucking strength. Okay. It also can help to prevent obesity in childhood, overweight and obesity. And it does that because babies from a young age are regulating their own feed. Remember, because they're on the breast, there is no time limit and there isn't any quantity limit that you can see.
And right there, you see that the first one that you mentioned about no time limit?
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to that and make notes. Carry on.
So they know when to start, they know when to stop. So they're not limited to ounces. They have to have 3 ounces or 4 ounces. They eat until they're full, and that's why breastfed babies eat on demand. Of course, in the beginning, it is quite high demand.
They eat, I'm just going to say they eat fast.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
and the reason, because it's breast milk is easily digestible. It's mostly water. But that is why, and that's normal. That's normal.
So if breast milk is mostly water,
let's say it's a liquid.
Okay.
Because it varies based on the baby's development, and sometimes there is more fat, more protein, more carbohydrates. And
so how does the milk know what the baby needs?
The age, the baby's age. So our bodies are so in tuned. Yeah. So when a baby is born, the first milk that comes is the colostrum. The body knows it produces that. Mm-hmm. After that, the baby gets a milk rich in fat. So that's why breastfed babies, you notice that they're very
round
chunky.
And chubby.
Yes.
Cuddly.
So they get, they lay on the fat from there. And then as the baby grows a little bit more, the concept is not as high fat when the baby gets to 6 months because they're introducing other foods. So it's just a stage. It's just how it goes.
The body knows what it has to do. So sometimes mom starts to get concerned about the quantity and the amount.
Yes, because you don't know. I mean, you can pour in the bottle and know I'm giving the baby 3 ounces of food.
Right.
The baby latches on. I was practicing that. The baby latches on, and then the baby falls asleep.
Because it's probably full.
And then you put the baby to bed and you go and lie down, and I swear 30 seconds pass and you hear the peels. So they're crying. I'm convinced.
and that is the characteristic of a newborn. The expectation is that they will feed several times in 24 hours.
Several.
Up to 12
plenty times.
Yes,
not just several. That's plenty times.
That is just part of it, the mix. And so when you have a newborn, you should expect that. And I think sometimes...
Somebody commented, not me, sorry. I'm not sure what they're sorry for.
And I think sometimes...
Monique, what you sorry for?
Sometimes mom, for maybe are not aware that this is part and parcel of the whole process. And sometimes it takes a little getting used to. But it is part of the process. And you are investing in your baby significantly by ensuring that your baby is breastfed exclusively. That is a down payment on the future.
Are there studies that show the difference between breastfed babies up to 6 months and babies where the bottle has been introduced? What has been the types of differences in the children as they move out of baby stages?
Okay, just trying to recall, based on my research, we look at the issue of frequency of illnesses. Studies would conclude that it would appear that they are less at risk.
And one thing I want to inject here, in our latch-ons, this has been coming out that the breastfeeding moms are saying that their babies tend not to be asthmatic compared to their formula-fed babies.
Right.
So that's a big difference already.
And then they're just developmental goals. So, for instance, one long-term study in Brazil is saying that when you look at breastfed babies, you recognize that even into adulthood, their performance in terms of their remuneration and the jobs that they hold appear to.
Make me feel bad though.
So, but that does not mean at all that if you use alternative form of feeding, your baby is not necessarily going to be. But we're just saying, let's do that investment. Let's cancel out all other ifs and buts, and let's go with the way that we know nature intended it to be.
Okay, so nature intended that
because your son is a very bright boy. And it is because he was at least 4 months breastfed. Yes. So it adds up. And it's important. Even one day, it's important.
So now we talk about the issue of breastfeeding. I was a crazy before pregnant mother. I'm using myself as the best guinea pig. When I decided I was going to get pregnant, I did that, people. I decided it was this time. No, that's not true. My mother nagged me into saying it's time because she wanted a grandchild. Everybody was having grandchildren and she wasn't having any. But so I cut off my hair, got rid of the chemicals, changed my diet, enough, stopped drinking soda, and did all of these things before I got pregnant and carried that straight into breastfeeding. You understand why after 4 months it's like, okay, my body needs something else. And for me, it was that I needed to provide the best environment for this child. Right. Even what I read, what music I listened to, except for the fact that I played Iron Band when I was 7.5 months pregnant on High Street in Pizza Shots. I had to do that, sorry. That just had to happen. But beyond that, I feel that to say breastfeeding is best is one thing. But is it possible that based on how the woman carries herself, how she treats her body, what she takes in, that the baby could end up being harmed more than benefiting from the breast milk? I'm wondering. I don't know. I could be wrong.
That's a very good question. So yesterday in our workshop, we did cover contraindications to breastfeeding. And even healthcare professionals, they're sometimes clueless as to, what. The first part you talked about was the diet. So with breastfeeding, there isn't any specific diet. There's no special diet needed. So
you mean I did all this for nothing?
A balanced diet is important.
A balanced diet is important. But
So
even if
well.
you were eating bad, the baby will still get good quality milk.
Yes,
That's the point.
the body produces
And also that is why in poorer countries, especially where there is lots of malnutrition, they push breastfeeding because you still can breastfeed up to a
What
point.
you gonna breastfeed if you're malnutritious?
Your body provides. I mean, our bodies are amazing. It's only a small percentage of women,
1%.
like 1% of. So that means you're really skin and bones that cannot produce milk. But in terms of other things that may affect breastfeeding, so alcohol.
It does affect breastfeeding?
Alcohol can affect breastfeeding if you decide that you want to drink and breastfeed at the same
Drink
time.
any amount? Drink to excess? Can you drink a little bit?
There aren't any studies to say how much.
Okay.
So what they say is if you do want to drink, you'd wait 2 hours before feeding the baby after you drink.
Okay.
So that's the rule of thumb. But there's certain things that is a no-no. So like cocaine, that's a no-no.
Smoking.
Smoking, actually, what they're saying is that if
And I guess we have to break down smoking into
right,
different
the pure things.
so
and
cigarette, tobacco smoking, that's not around the baby.
Absolutely.
So not around the baby because that can cause sudden infant death syndrome.
with the baby there. However, you can smoke elsewhere and breastfeed.
Outside.
Right. Without any danger to
Then you
the
have to change your clothing.
clothes and all that kind of
sort
stuff.
thing, yes.
When it comes to marijuana, same thing. There aren't any sufficient studies, but of course, again, you're not smoking around the baby.
Right.
All right. There's certain medications, certain illnesses. So, like with HIV, breastfeeding is contraindicated. So we don't
Encourage breastfeeding.
Encourage
Okay.
breastfeeding. Period.
Okay.
Certain medications and so on.
If you're taking antibiotics.
Antibiotics are fine.
Or if you're taking cholesterol medication, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't breastfeed.
But antibiotics, the doctor that presented yesterday, the pediatrician, she said most antibiotics are fine unless they contain like a sulfur base or something. But the doctor would let you know.
Right.
Okay.
But in times of crisis, whether it's a hurricane, a famine, or what have you, breastfeeding is the best option because it limits
there.
other intervention, getting clean water, getting bottles and what have you. Sterilization and what have you. So it is the best. So in instances, war-torn countries, or countries where hygiene is an issue, the best option to ensure that the baby survives is to breastfeed.
So from a cost perspective, for sure, breast is best.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What about if mummies are stressed and under challenging situations? Does that impact on how much milk the baby gets?
When mommy is stressed, so when moms are breastfeeding, we encourage them to be comfortable. So they need to relax, sit back, not be hunching over the baby so they're going to damage their back and all that stuff. But if a mom is stressed, it definitely can affect the quality of the feeding because if she's restless and not comfortable, the baby's not going to be comfortable. And of course can affect that. So when moms are feeding, they need to remember, okay, baby first, it's feeding time now. Just try to relax during that
It's
time.
not only when moms are feeding now. Even up to today, when I'm stressed, I stay away from my child. Or I make up my mind, okay, I'm going home now, so just leave it at the door.
Yes.
Because the minute you walk in, they just soak it in. Phew.
Right.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
And
So
one
then you can
dad was
imagine if
saying
it's
the
a
same as
baby.
well. The baby
Yeah.
soaks in the whatever mood the mommy is in.
Because if that's
Yes.
happening when they're big,
Yeah.
when you're a
Right.
baby, it
Baby,
must
imagine.
be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any benefits for mommy?
Of course.
Breastfeeding?
You mentioned one already. And when we kept asking the moms, at each session, we keep asking the moms, so why are you breastfeeding?
Because I have to.
No. A lot of them were like, this today, one of them said, because I save money in my pocket. So that was her biggest reason. Instead of buying formula,
Bottles.
she can, buy more Pampers. Pampers expensive. Other benefits to mom, one mom mentioned that she knows it's supposed to help her get back to her pre-pregnancy weight. And some women are very concerned about that. So they want to drop that baby weight, and breastfeeding is a way that you can do that. Also,
except for the boobs. The boobs did not go away for a while.
some
people like that.
Some people like that, believe it or not.
Major boobs.
Another benefit for moms is that they don't have to get up 1,000,001 times at night to fix bottle. The baby just latches on to the breast, and everybody can stay in bed.
I can't get no sleep.
Yes, you can. You're still in bed.
Babies can find the breast on their own as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very good at that.
And their eyes closed.
Yes.
And they just nose it out.
Yes.
And of course, there's the bonding. So there is this forever bond. So you're feeding the baby, and the baby looking up into your eyes.
It's a beautiful,
stroking your face, but for the long-term benefits, it can help to prevent.
So look like if you're ready to go back again. Notice I said the two of them. I'm keeping myself way out of that conversation. Yes, carry on.
Long-term benefits, breast cancer reduction, cervical cancer reduction. So these are some of the benefits to mommy in the long term. But the short-term benefits are usually what we try to sell, because, some, especially for the younger women, they may not be concerned about now. They're more concerned about how they look.
Yes.
Their pockets.
Yes.
What about okay, one of the things we mentioned earlier that I wanted to come back to was the whole notion of time. Because especially Antigua is becoming more and more fast-paced. And you have X amount of weeks maternity leave, which is nowhere near the length of time that is being recommended that you breastfeed for. How do we then strike a balance? What do we do?
That's a very interesting question, because even in my research, moms indicated the WHO and the Ministry of Health is saying 6 months. My maternity leave is 3 months. Some moms have been able to successfully negotiate for extra time or flexi time.
With pay?
They've been able to negotiate.
So they may take their vacation right after maternity leave.
And depending on what industry you're in, if you're in the tourism industry, and you plan it carefully, you may have. And some moms, if they're self-employed, they determine, I'm going to spend some time. So moms, according to their planning, can determine what is happening. But it certainly is an issue. And moms have said, if you want me to do that, you have to meet me halfway. So the question is, how do we deal with that? And I know on the table, what about the issue of extending the maternity leave? It's something to give consideration to.
It ain't gonna happen. Men make the decisions. It ain't gonna happen. They're gonna look at their pocket, and they're gonna see the cost
but we're
keeping
working
you
longer.
home for extra weeks.
Yes, we're working longer. More women are in the workforce, as well as we have this issue of NCDs. If we're not eating,
I hear you, but the men are gonna say, "I'm gonna have to pay somebody else for feeling fishy for the 3 months." And she want to take another 3 months again? No, sir.
So here's what we're saying. Let us facilitate moms to express their milk at work. Give them a comfortable, secure environment to do so that they can continue the process. So we have to be flexible. If we're not extending the maternity leave, and if mom can't negotiate on extended time with pay, then the next option is to facilitate at work and allow moms to express their milk.
What's required though to put that in place in the office?
So a space, secure
yes.
place. Although some moms indicate, I just do what I have to do in the office. Whoever is there, it doesn't matter. So a space, some moms do that. So a space and a refrigerator, electricity outlet to use if you have a electrical breast pump, sometime, as well as some time within the work day to do that, whether it's a 15-minute break in the morning and in the afternoon. The possibility of running home or to the daycare to breastfeed baby at lunchtime. So we're certainly encouraging mom to have a conversation with your supervisor, not wait until you would have gone off on maternity leave, but even before you would have left, indicate what your desire is, especially if there's no policy within that workplace facilitating supporting moms who are exclusively breastfeeding. So for instance, if you work full-time at Point FM, some point in time.
No, I don't work full time. I don't even work at Point FM. I volunteer. People, listen carefully. Nobody come harass me about I work here.
And we're not talking about a bathroom.
Oh, and by the way, I can't have any more children.
Oh,
okay.
Is that a good or bad?
That's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
The day I pass X age, I'm like, I'm done. Well, what I mean is I'm mentally done. Okay.
So we
and you said not the bathroom.
Definitely
Why not the bathroom?
Why should you? Do you eat in the bathroom?
No.
Most of us don't. The majority. So why should you breastfeed your baby in the bathroom or express your breast milk in the bathroom?
So the ideal thing is that there should be a part of the office that is set aside expressly to be able to.
Right.
Yes.
So it may not be just a room just for expressing. So it may be just like a relaxation room.
Mm-hmm.
So a room with just a couch or, I don't know, it depends on where it is. Some places may already have something like that set up. But, when a woman goes in to express, she would lock the door, of course, and, have her privacy. That's important. And, of course, you want her to be comfortable.
Right, because it flows better.
And we're going to be talking to the owners of businesses about things like this because they're going to say, she must in there waste time for me pay.
No.
They are going to be saying she must in there waste time for me.
No.
Job.
And that's why we say have the discussion early. So you just don't show up to work one day and you say, oh, I need 15 minutes and, for the next 6 months, whatever. Yes. This is a conversation that has to happen early because there isn't a policy for it that supports it as yet, but we're working towards that.
That was going to be my next question. In terms of policies, is there, and you started saying that there is a move to establishing some core policies. How about you're into sports and you have your baby, you're back to playing your sport. Well, in my case, you're back to spectating, and you go to events. Sometimes you don't want to. How do you bring comfort and ease to both the mother and to society in general that it's okay for mom to breastfeed on the spot? I don't think that is not practice.
That's fine. If you need to breastfeed, you need to.
Okay, listen to the question. Janelle is just do it anyways. Forget about it. But there are lots of people, especially young women, who don't feel comfortable just doing it.
Right. So what
and if you permit me, and a lot of them don't drive, so it's not like they could go aside, go into the vehicle and do this. They are out and because I think that things like those are reasons why people just stop breastfeeding. I got to get on with my life, and you got to fit into my life.
Right. So you're a spectator and you want to breastfeed at an event?
Or you play. You might have gone back to playing your netball, your whatever, your softball, cricket, whatever, and you're still breastfeeding. You're at Dredge's cricket ground. It's an open area.
So let me take a crack at this question. Two perspectives I will look at it from. If you want to do it, there's a way to discreetly do it. And I recall one of our moms saying that to facilitate that discreet expression, you would have to have a certain type of wear, something that you can easily unbutton and unbutton down. So you can do that discreetly, and if you want, you can put a towel over. I've seen people breastfeed, and you'd hardly know. You just figure the child is cuddling. I'm heartened that on the internet there are a lot of pictures of movie stars and athletes. Serena Williams. I saw another lady doing a 100
I think that's
marathon.
the marathon lady. Yes, that one was awesome.
So it is saying that those pictures are saying to us, hey, it is normal. If you need to do it, just do it.
But there are lots of people who think that it's been taken too far. What do we tell
that
those?
Maybe you have a parliamentarian stand up in Parliament and is presenting her presentation and is breastfeeding at the same time. I see that as
everybody was like, "Oh, the shock and awe." I'm like, she's just
but
multitasking.
Nobody was shocked.
Yes,
within her environment.
No, in her environment, it was cool.
Exactly.
But when it went, I don't think they had a choice. I don't think she gave them a choice but to be cool.
Right. So but it has to start somewhere.
So do you think that where we are now in Antigua, that it's just a matter of getting more women to appreciate the need to breastfeed for the 6 months minimum? Or is it that I'm trying to see where we are. Is it that is it just that the women need to play their part, or is it that as a community that we have not yet gotten to the point where it's just a natural evolution?
Right. I think your last point hits it on the head. I recently read a magazine, a breastfeeding magazine that one the doc sent, and it was from one of these countries. I think it was Indonesia, and they talked about community support for breastfeeding. And what they were saying, they had an increase in women who were exclusively breastfeeding because the community supported it. The workplaces supported it. Areas when they go to church and so on, everybody supported it. So it wasn't I need to go hide or find a, dark spot to go and breastfeed my baby. So support is one of the things that we are recognizing is the key to increasing breastfeeding in Antigua and Barbuda. Even from talking to the moms within the last couple of weeks, all of them saying the same thing. They don't know what to do, where to turn to. They have these questions. And when we bring them together, you would be surprised the types of questions. Yeah. Questions. Because remember, especially for new moms who've never breastfed, all they would have heard about was this breastfeeding in antenatal class. They may have read something online. But now that we're bringing them together, that when they're actually breastfeeding now, they have lots of questions. So let's say, for instance, today we were at Mount St. John doing the latch on. And some of the questions that came out were, what to do when my breast gets engorged. So it's filled with milk. How do I get it out? Simple questions like that were simple to us. Or another mom asked,
what was the answer?
Oh, the nurse showed her, which is the practical support, how to massage the breast to release the milk, to express the milk.
I'm trying to remember what I did.
We talked about the old time methods, so like using the comb and cabbage leaves and so on. Another mom asked about, she said, since she started breastfeeding, she feels lumps. Is that normal? And the answer was yes, that is normal. It tells you that you need to release those ducts. So either you need to express or baby needs to, put the baby on the breast more. Yes. So this is what bringing breastfeeding moms together or mothers together is showing us, that the women need support. And if they do not have the support, they're not going to breastfeed for any length of time. So with all the talk we talk about, breastfeeding for 6 months is important, they're not going to do it unless the whole community supports them. If they go to KFC, sorry, that's maybe a bad example, but and the baby's with them and they want to feed, they should feel comfortable to sit and
not have every eye.
Right. It should not be, yeah.
So I was, during the summer I was in Panama and I walked into McDonald's and there were 3 women.
You went to Panama without me? That's the first thing. Okay, carry on.
There were 3 women breastfeeding. One in the back discreetly, one to the front just breastfeeding, and another one, midway breastfeeding. I went to another one. And so it is just normal and natural expectation.
Do you see that here?
No, but why shouldn't you?
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes. So like I would have heard moms say, they go to the bank and, they go into one that shows baby's hungry, crying.
Yes, so they
and of course, in those cases, they tend to see them quicker, deal with them.
Not at First Caribbean anymore.
No, but the medical benefits scheme. Moms have come in and they just breastfeed. And of course, we're a family supporting environment. We say, go right ahead.
I'm surprised Jana don't tell them, come, here's the room, relax.
No, they feel
Get
relaxed
comfy.
and they just go ahead and breastfeed.
And before this age, breastfeeding was so normal.
Yes.
It's only nowadays in Antigua you don't find it out as, you don't find persons around the place breastfeeding as much. But before, as in my parents' day, it was normal to breastfeed your child and breastfeed your child. They didn't have
choice. They had choice.
Because they didn't have formula.
They didn't have all the hey, you realize you go in the supermarket, you see newborn baby formula. They have I swear one day I looking to see if a formula has colostrum. I waiting to see somebody try that. I mean, I don't expect it to happen.
Right.
No, it shouldn't happen. But
Yes.
you know, you marketing, sales and marketing people, hey, you're going to sell ice to Eskimos. You can sell colostrum to butlers. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, you hear the ads, and the ads almost tell the mothers, we will do this for you. You go ahead and get your body back, and we will do this for you. But we don't hear. I mean, one of the reasons I was listening to, watching the discussion on Facebook, the latch on videos and so on, and I'm saying to myself, but I don't hear this any other time of year. And when you mention about the neonatal clinic, I said the right word, right? Yes, neonatal clinic. I was antenatal, right? That's it. Sorry, antenatal clinic. I was flashing back to my whatever days so long ago, and honestly, I realized my solution was call my sister. I mean, she was a nurse. She knew all of this stuff. I have a problem, mother. She's like, she can fix it. I'm not happy, sister. Hi there, Cora. And that is so. I think you're right that you need. I think there is more a need for not just a support, but for support that knows, because in Antigua, everybody have a different remedy.
Right.
So it's to get the right support that knows the right information that can encourage breastfeeding longer.
Right. Yes. And one of the things we've done to help with that, we have formed, two things. Janelle has started a Facebook group, Breastfeeding Support Network. That's one avenue that women reach out to us. And secondly, we've come up with a list of numbers, local numbers, breastfeeding moms, current breastfeeding moms that breastfed years ago, that, nurses and so on, who have consented for us to give the moms their numbers. So we have a list of numbers. So
and how has that been going?
Well, this is recent. This was within this week. So we've started doing that because we realize that when persons have trouble in the evening or in the morning, when they can't reach the clinic or the hospital, they can call someone, WhatsApp someone and say, hey, I have a question. Can you help me? And that's, where we're trying to get to.
And that is so important, because one of the things I learned and still continue to learn up to today is that, contrary to popular belief, because I think there's this general belief out there that once you're a woman and you become a mother, you just know how to fix everything.
Right.
And nothing tal goes. Even up to now, the child is 18. Sorry, the young man is 18. Is my child. He's 18 and he's a child. Y'all don't cuss me. Right. And you're still trying to figure out. The latest thing for me was sex. And how to traverse the... No, I mean, it took a couple of years.
Okay.
The early years was easy.
Okay.
The early years was easy for me, not to stray from the main topic of breastfeeding, but, I mean, when we were growing up and we want to watch any of those movies on, you hide. And when mommy or daddy come in, you change the channel and so on. I walk out and Mr. Man's watching what he watching, and hi, mommy. And he continues to watch it. I'm like... Remember about move the channel, change the channel in my mind, right? Because I'm thinking, and then you realize, okay, it's a different relationship.
Yes, and he's confident. You have helped him build his confidence, so
he
knows what is acceptable.
Me now want to watch the movie with him. The point I'm making with that, though, is that, I mean, the values, I guess, are different now in terms of the breastfeeding era, the options, the choices. And so I guess while we're talking about the support network, for example, the Facebook support network, which will probably be very popular because they'll look, I am wondering, though, at the same time that many would look, but how many of them would actually ask questions? Because what I've realized, a lot of people want to know, but they don't want to be the ones to ask. And then you end up suffering or doing the wrong thing out of ignorance.
Right. Or just stop.
How do we tackle those kind of mindsets?
Going back to the conversation, the capacity building workshop, it's about not being judgmental when somebody asks a question. There's no right or wrong.
Who not being judgmental?
The person providing the information, so whether it be a nurse or whether it be myself or Samantha, not being judgmental if I say, but why should I? What is the importance? I think my baby will be fine without it. Not being judgmental and answering the question, providing information and fact. I think it's an important thing. And to empathize, meet the mom at whatever stage she's at, presenting the information, letting the person, think about it, and coming back, how did it work out and whatever. But of course, being respectful and being
always.
And being non-judgmental in providing information. I think that is key. And we were discussing that in the capacity building workshop. So if mom says, I would have introduced other foods, you're not going off the deep end and say what, but why did you, asking open-ended questions so you can really get to the bottom of what is going on and provide some reasonable solution, and meeting the mom where she's at. Yeah.
Okay, so what about now, just the last little point, because I know we've been talking about the capacity building workshop and the latch-ons, and you said that it's been going well. Is this something that you can see? I know it's concentrated now in this week of building awareness, but post the week of building awareness, what is the intention?
So next month, we're busy.
She's busy doing a lot.
So we are working next month on drafting our infant and young child feeding policy. All right. And included in that is training that's going to be done to start the process for Mount St. John Medical Center to be designated as baby friendly. So baby friendly means that most moms...
Hey, hold on. That's where all the babies born. What do you mean you ain't baby friendly?
No, there is a designation, a WHO and UNICEF designation as baby friendly. So it means that the practices that the hospital do promotes breastfeeding.
Okay, all right, got you.
Right?
And protects
breastfeeding. Okay. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on within the next month. With regards to the latch-ons, though, what we're realizing this week is that we just can't leave it there. And at hospital today, we started a discussion as to how can we continue this. So we will work out in terms of how often. So we want to have it now multiple times.
Is it something that we could go through the clinics? Because I know a lot of the moms go back to the clinics.
So we are doing some in the clinics this week as well. However, just from today alone, with being at Mount St. John, I realize it's important to catch them early.
Yeah.
Because you have the 1 dayers, you have the 6 dayers, 1 week babies. Whereas when you get to the clinic, they're already a month.
And they would have already broken into the...
Right.
Because once you start giving them, I don't think you can go back.
You could if you're very determined to. So it's important
and the baby's determination.
Yeah, but we recognize though, but if you introduce the artificial nipple, baby find it easier to draw the milk out of that, especially if it's free flowing.
And baby refuse breast.
And baby can refuse breast because it's harder to suck on the breast. Over 40 of jaw muscles are being used to pull that. You see that sucking exactly, as opposed to just lying there and having the milk just
dribble down to you.
Exactly.
I'm not a fan of the bottle, sorry.
Yes.
Just in general.
And just a sidebar, you never have to give your baby a bottle because you can use the cup.
Or the comforter.
Right.
The cup or a spoon. So, for instance, we were having a very interesting conversation. Moms will go into the hospital and they pack all kinds of things just in case the breast milk doesn't come down after they would have had the baby immediately after. And so, rather than packing other foods, why don't you pack a breast pump so that you can extract the milk and help promote it to come earlier. So we have to start thinking about not necessarily the easy way out, but the strategies to ensure that I am doing this labor of love, language of love as described by the Pope John Paul.
He described breastfeeding?
No, Pope Francis.
He described breastfeeding?
Yes, he said, moms, feel free to breastfeed in church. It is the language of love. Don't be shy. He was doing a baptism, and he encouraged mom to breastfeed freely in church. So there's no need to hide. Persons who are Roman Catholic and may have had a question.
Okay.
Feel free.
All right.
Yes.
I'm 18 years on. And any of that, and then not going back.
And in terms of talking about the whole structures promoting breastfeeding, earlier 3 months ago, we had a conversation which was supposed to be both private sector and public sector, talking about facilitating the expression of breast milk at work. Unfortunately, we had more public sector persons and statutory corporations. But we're talking about this whole breastfeeding issue and facilitating it in the workplace. They thought it was an eye-opening discussion and definitely food for thought when the situation presents itself, how to maneuver it. So we recognize we have to do a lot of talking.
Yes, because that's what, see what I'm telling you?
Yes.
You're telling me to give up my time, give up my space.
But this giving up the space is not indefinite.
Madonna make no money. You never talk to
But there are a lot of pros for you. So that means moms that work every day because her baby is sick less often or hardly sick.
And we need to tell them that. We need to sell that. Sell. I agree.
And she's not disturbed. Her mind is not
worried
uneasy.
about the child.
Yes, because she knows she is providing the breast milk and baby is having the best. We also need to talk about daycares. Some moms say daycares are not willing to accept breast milk. They view it as a bodily fluid and have question marks
breast
about
milk?
it. Yes. So all these things.
It's not food?
Yes. So all these conversations need to be happening at multi-level.
So the work continues.
So the work continues.
Miss Moit, and you have a full plate in addition to
plenty of things
of this. So how do we last question, my other guest is waiting. How do we keep the focus on this most important initiative, which starts from the cradle, I guess?
Support. So the National Breastfeeding Committee is just the committee of mostly health professionals and so on. But what we're realizing is that when we have a common mom who comes in and talks to other moms, that makes a difference. Big difference than me in my jacket coming to you. You probably don't think I have any children, don't know what I'm talking about. So
yeah, I hate that presumption.
It's a fact. It's just normal.
Right.
So that support from moms who would have done it and excelled at it and have seen the benefits to help us to spread the word, because that is how persons are going to say, okay, well, maybe I should think about this.
Yes, and
so the peer support at that peer level
is critical.
And and we have the numbers for those persons as well, and we'll be sharing it.
You can send her on WhatsApp with the peer support group.
Yes, the peer support group, and it will be release it as well on the breastfeeding support network. Yes, so you can call someone, and it doesn't matter where your question starts, whether it starts in the middle, in the end, or you just fumble over whatever it is.
Just get it out.
Just get it out and ask the question.
So, ladies and gentlemen who want to support their women to breastfeed,
we have quite a few.
Yes, and and our next session is actually going to be about men and parenting. Okay. So we went from youth to breastfeeding, now into men and parenting. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Breastfeeding Awareness Discussion with Miss Samantha Moit and Dr. Janelle Charles Williams. I feel so proud of that doctorate, you know. Jeez, I almost think I work for it. Please.
I know where you're coming from.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud. And both women are part of the Breastfeeding Awareness Committee. Yes, I got it right. And they have been undertaking an awareness week, and as part of it, they've been having the Latch On initiatives and a number of other community engagements with women and their support network to encourage more breastfeeding up to a minimum of 6 months.
Yes.
Exclusively for Miss Moit and forever for Dr. Williams.
And of course, they can join us at the Grace Farm Clinic from 10 to 12.
Tomorrow?
10 to 11
tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, ladies.
Clare Hall. Come on out. Or at Clare Hall
Same
Clinic.
time, 10 to
So
same
you have
time.
any mothers, breastfeeding mothers, you're invited to go out and attend. And for the rest of you who have any questions, don't call me. I'm not breastfeeding. I know you all. Don't call me, and I don't have any answers. Check with Miss Moit and check with Dr. Charles Williams. Yes, ladies, they will ask me questions, so I have to direct them to the right place.
It's fine.
Both of you, thank you very much for coming in,
you.
and I wish you the very best with this initiative.
Fellas, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ladies, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Kids, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, if you're ready, Cool Sports has come on down for a massive buy one get one free sale. That's right, buy one get one free on all men's, ladies, and kids, clothing and shoes. Also get 20% off all your appliances. You know when Cool Sports does a sale, we come really hard. We're already giving you great prices. Now the deal is even sweeter. So visit us on Lower Market Street and take advantage of our latest buy one get one free sale on all men's, ladies, and kids, clothing and shoes. It's cool and smooth. You know, so we do it.
Got a problem with your vehicle? Well, you must visit Major Muffler under Sir George Walter Highway, Airport Road. We specialize in muffler, radiator, bushings, tray bushings, bearings, welding fabrication, gas welding, chassis repair, subframe repair, undercoating, arc welding, and much more. Your vehicle will look and feel brand new. Check us out today. We're open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call us at 783-3059, 783-3059. Major Muffler under Sir George Walter Highway. Pay us a visit today.
A trust fund guarantees the CCJ its independence. How is that possible? Will the funds ever run out? Where will the additional funds come from? Bring your questions to a public forum on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m., featuring none other than the chairman of the Board of Trustees that manages the trust fund of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Dr. Linton Lewis. Another night of thorough discussion on an important aspect of the Caribbean Court of Justice ahead of the November 6th referendum. It's happening on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m. Be informed and make your vote count.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are the ones on Point FM 99.1 FM, or if you are watching us live on Facebook. And we are now joined by Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Jarvis and I go way back. And every time I have some certain kinds of problems, I just go look for Mr. Jarvis. Or when Mr. Jarvis needs certain kinds of information, he just come and look for me. Mr. Jarvis, what's your first name?
Alvin.
You wouldn't believe Minister called him Mr. Jarvis. I was just calling him, and yes, I know, translate the dialects.
Alvin, less the chipmunk.
All right. Mr. Jarvis is a probation officer in the Department of Social Transformation.
That's correct.
All right. And Mr. Jarvis is here today to talk to us about some parenting workshops that he is coordinating. But before we discuss the parenting workshop, I just wanted to spend a few minutes looking at your broader remit, being a probation officer.
Definitely.
Right. My first encounter with Mr. Jarvis, I don't remember which one of the picnic the mom and I look after, but you know how it is. Tell us about your work as a probation officer in Antigua.
Besides an exciting and interesting career?
Yes, besides an exciting. I don't think a lot of people are even aware that it can be exciting and entertaining and fruitful and rewarding and all of those things. Tell us about it.
Fruitful and rewarding. The rewarding part is when you're able to make...
I wasn't talking about the salary.
Positive. No. The rewarding part is when you're able to make positive intervention in the life of an individual, and you see that individual accept your guidance and is able to himself or herself lead a productive, successful life. And that is the joy I get out of the work that I do.
And as a probation officer, what primarily do you do?
As a probation officer, first of all, we serve the court. The courts, I would say, the magistrates' courts, the high courts. We provide pre-sentencing report or social investigation report at their requests. We do not have a probationer unless the court makes such an order.
Okay.
So it there is where everything more or less begins for the probationer. The court considers persons who are juveniles, persons who are first-time offenders, and persons who would have committed minor offense for probation. As well, the social investigation report, or the pre-sentencing report, if you may, provides some insight to the court about the individual's character, background, and will be better able to determine how suitable that individual is for a rehabilitation program.
And who designs the rehabilitation program? Not the probation officers?
Certainly, the probation officers provides the rehabilitation program, but we do get the support of the court to put some of the measures in the order which the client will sign to, for example, curfew, to keep away from bad company, if you want to use that terminology, and others as we find necessary. And this is not a broad approach, it is specific to individual cases.
And the role of the parents in this process?
And the parents plays a major role.
If you can find them? Or generally? I'm just asking. I didn't mean to make it funny. I'm sorry.
If we can find them, yes, the parents play a major role in the whole process, because we try to create a team between us, the probation services, the client, and the parent. We tend to extend that team by introducing or bringing on board persons from the church, persons from the school, teachers. They also very and always helpful in the process. And as we would have interacted with many persons during the phase or that period we prepared the social investigation report, we're able to identify weaknesses, strengths. We're able to identify persons with whom we can. You use the terminology today with your previous guests.
Network, yes.
So
you were here long.
So we are good at networking. Just that we are not a flashy.
You get the work
organization,
done.
So
you get the work done.
We get the work done. Yeah.
So, in terms of our young people who have encountered challenges and have had to interact with the probation department, what is the likelihood of repeat offenses? Do you have a lot of repeat offenders, or normally the rehabilitation has been able to, the rehabilitation and the parental involvement, let's put them hand in hand. Oh, no, the rehabilitation involves the parental involvement, right? Supposedly. Sorry, no, I rough on parents, I know, I'm sorry.
Define repeat offender.
I don't know. Let's say a person would have run afoul of something, and it would have been before the courts, and the courts get the probation department involved and so on. Are they likely to go back and do something similar, or are they going to do something else?
Okay, so in this context, your reference to repeat offender is primarily relating to the juvenile going back before the court.
You know what? No, because there's so many different options. Because you also do the schools as well, right? It's people. No, you're not a truant officer. No, I'm mixing you up. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of the child going back before the courts, yes.
Okay. Well, we do have a low percentage of repeat offenders.
Great.
We extend ourselves to ensure that the individual does not
see the need to go back that way.
Go back before the court. There are some, but the majority of our clients, as far as I'm aware, and I'm very much aware.
Very good. So, which brings me to my next question, and why do you feel the need to have this parenting workshop?
Because we recognize over time that much of the difficulties our children encounter are as a result of poor parenting. Bottom line.
What is poor parenting?
Inability to control your child, inability to set adequate boundaries and maintain. Parents who have set double standards in the household, they are not aware of it being a double standard.
No.
Some of them are not aware.
Okay.
They will give a particular instruction, give some rules to the children, and they themselves contravene in those very rules. You know, so it's along that line in terms of, let's say, education and supervision or supervising of schoolwork and homework and all of that. In many instances, we find the parents don't dedicate the time. I guess there is a problem when it comes to time management, planning.
Parents got to work. Sometimes 2 jobs, 10 hours just to give the children the basics. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying this is what happens.
So even though those are some of our realities, again, going back to the word networking within the family system. You have the grandmother. You want to go back with the village story. You have the grandmother. You have the uncle.
You want the villager back?
We have to get back to that.
Antigua look like I have time for village.
Petra.
I'm just saying.
We have to.
Does it appear to you? But everybody is busy. Everybody has their own lives.
To that concept of the village raising the child. We have to.
A question for you. We're going to go and discuss the parenting workship in some detail shortly. But I have a question. This is a hot topic. I'm putting you on the spot. The ministry, no, it's not the ministry. The director of education is suggesting that we should arrest children who are found loitering after school. After a certain, he doesn't want you to go to after school lessons in your uniform. I live in Old Road. I go to Antigua Girls High School. And when school is done at 2 o'clock, at 1, whatever time, I have lessons at Learning Center next to the bus station. My bag is already heavy with the books.
Yeah.
So where am I supposed to go find time to take off my clothes to go maths class so that the director of education can feel comforted that here now, because he's no longer concerned that the child is on the road. He's only concerned that the child is in uniform on the road. That bothers me.
Let me
because you should be worried about the child on the road, but that's just me.
My interpretation of what the director said is not to be it's not taking what his comments literally, which might be.
He said he don't want them in unless he said if you're going to after school lessons, they keep on the uniform. He said that is when I got worried.
I still would not take it literally. I think he's suggesting that we ought to put some measures in place to control students who find themselves on the road after school in uniforms. Now,
how about if control students who find themselves on the road full stop? Because they're underage. So you have on the I note that you have on the Princess Margaret School uniform, so I'm concerned. Tomorrow you don't have on the Princess Margaret School uniform. Is there less of a concern?
The uniform shouldn't be a factor.
Exactly.
The uniform shouldn't be a factor. But the question I will ask of the director and other persons who are thinking along that line, where are you going to house those persons once you detain them?
Up on Newgate Street in the dirty cell.
So that's a real question for anyone who's thinking along that line to answer.
All right, me and you done put ourselves in enough trouble on that. Let's get back to mainstream. Parenting workshop. Tell us about the parenting workshop that your department will be hosting.
The parenting workshop is has been ongoing. This is our 8th year. This year we have decided to decentralize, for want of a better term, the process. For the past 7 years, it would have been held for 2 days at the multipurpose center. This year and going forward, I would presume, we want to take the parenting workshop in the rural communities. So we're using the 3 communities within the St. John's proper to execute what we consider a pilot project. Villa Primary School tonight and tomorrow.
Okay.
On the 10th and 11th, it will be at Grace Farm Primary School. On the 30th and the 31st, it will be at the Clear Hall Secondary School. And our national event will be in November on the 21st and the 22nd. So I want to remind the residents of Villa, Yorks, Fort Road, Point. Let me go back. Villa and Point.
Point and Villa. P before V. Point has been around for several hundred years. Villa is a couple scores old. Okay? Let's get this clear. Point and Villa.
Point and Villa.
Very good.
Fort Road. If we can get persons coming from Cedar Grove, from Yorks, persons within this close proximity.
How have you gotten the word out to them?
We have been utilizing the media. This would be my second time at Point FM talking about this.
Okay.
We utilize the media. We utilize flyer. We utilize the word of mouth process.
What kind of numbers are you looking for?
We're looking for as many parents who are interested.
And what is it that they can expect at the workshop?
They can expect to be thoroughly informed. They can expect to gain new ideas, new skills in relation to parenting. They can expect to understand, for example, when we talk about mental illness and the family, they can learn new, maybe not new, but they can learn to identify certain little behaviors within the persons, within the children and other family members, enough for them to take steps to get professional assistance.
We were talking about the need to get back to the village concept. Will anything like those be explored in the workshops? About the need for a better network of support, I guess, for parenting?
Yes.
Because I'm a poster child, it works. My son was raised by a village, a very big village.
Fine. Yes. The theme for this year's program is eliminating bullying through responsible parenting. And out of that theme, we expect to explore how best we can approach the whole concept of support, networking within the family. We think in family was it looking from an inside-out approach to the whole parenting. Something that we really, really have to try and appreciate. Something we have to hold on to. Something we have to get back to.
Okay, all right. So, as you said, tonight and tomorrow, the parenting workshop will be at the Villa Primary School.
Yes.
The following 2 nights, it'll be at the Grace Farm Primary School.
No, not the following 2 nights, but the 10th and 11th of October.
October 10th
will be
and
at
11th.
the Greenway
and then
Primary
Clare
School.
Hall will be
on the 30th and the 31st of October.
And then the national one will be in
November at the Multipurpose Center.
The one that you normally have, the one national one that you normally have, what kind of numbers you've had in the past?
Not enough.
When I count from 1 to 1,000,000, I never see not enough in there. Let's try again. And it's not that I want to put you on the spot. I want parents to understand how resources are provided for them and they don't capitalize on it.
And the attendance has been very low. Sometimes we get 20 little bit, sometimes we get less than 20.
Do you consider, it's probably too late now to do the one for Villa, but perhaps, let's say you're going to the Green Bay Primary School.
Yes.
Probably to give the flyers to the children in the schools.
Yes, that is
as part of the process of getting information out.
Definitely. We'll be working along from henceforth. We'll be working along closely with the Parent Teachers Association, so that technique will be employed going forward. Just
put the somebody with the picketing and then bad. Right. One last question I wanted to ask you as we look to wrap this session, and it's been a very useful dialogue. We have to come up first to talk about the probation issues. Is when you have a parenting workshop, I know the focus is on the parents, but do we ever stop to have a discussion with the children to get any feedback from them about how they're being parented? I know it's a very strange question.
Those discussions do take place.
Okay.
And
cool.
It's not necessarily in a forum such as the parenting workshop, but it happens during the counseling period.
But that's when you discover issues. I'm talking about as a general run-of-the-mill. So just like you have a parenting workshop, bring a forum of the young people together, hear what they say, and then let the parents know that this is what the children think of what you're doing to us.
They say you're the brightest person in Point.
Not Targo, so Lord, people have put me in trouble. No.
It's a good idea.
Point of plenty bright people. Plenty.
No, I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they are not saying Point don't
teasing
have plenty
you. I'm
people.
teasing.
Listen, and then just say that you are the brightest.
No.
But it's a good idea. It's a good idea. One that we can explore. It's certainly useful to hear the children's side of the story, because I'm sure we can learn a lot. Sometimes you talk to them and you give them the opportunity to express themselves. It's just mind-boggling, some of the things they say, the depth of their thought process, and you just look at them and take them for granted. And yes, it is a true experience, something that we can explore. I would like us to explore.
All right, Mr. Jarvis. Well, I'd like to thank you for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to Point FM. We are the ones, 91.1 FM. I got it right this time, right? 99.1? Okay, good. And we have been speaking to Mr. Jarvis. He was our last guest. He's a probation officer in the Ministry of Social Transformation. And we were sharing a little on the role of the probation officers and how their jobs impact us as a people. And then we concluded by looking at the parenting workshop, where they're inviting parents out to attend the workshops under the theme Eliminating Bullying Through Responsible Parenting. Got it right?
That's correct.
Right. That's the theme, Eliminating Bullying Through Responsible Parenting.
Yes.
Those of us in Point, Villa, Fort Road, where else? Cedar Grove, Yorks,
yes,
Gambles, everywhere surrounding. Please. Tonight, from what time?
From 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock.
Okay, so they're just about starting from 6 to 8.
Yes.
We're inviting as many parents as possible. This is not for parents with troubled children.
That's correct.
Let us make this clear. This is for those of us who are parents of children who are coming through. My child is done 18, I'm bound for go.
And who are concerned
Yes, but parents who are concerned about the development of their children, parents who are concerned that our community needs to take a better hold of our children and would like to share a network and to learn. Let me tell you, parents, you learn something new every day of your life in terms of being better parents. And here you're going to have some experts who are going to be able to guide you through the process, as well as the opportunity to network with other parents in the community, parents whose children go to the same schools that your children go. You'll be able to get to know them, and you can build a much better ring fence around our next generation. So I'm encouraging as many of you, if it's difficult to clear your schedule tonight, tomorrow is another night, to clear your schedules and go out. And then Grace Farm, they'll be with you around October 10th. And Clare Hall, they'll be with you around the end of the month. And there's another opportunity with the National Symposium down in November. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us today. We had 3 very interesting sessions, all interestingly around the family. We had the youth section with the youth department of the Ministry of Social Transformation also, yes. Where they were discussing the issues of the youth exhibition and Caribbean Youth Week celebrations. And then we looked at From the Cradle with the breastfeeding awareness group, who are having their week of latch on, and they told us that you should breastfeed only for the first 6 months of the baby's life, and then you can breastfeed for much longer. Much longer sounds fishy, but much longer. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, again, final reminder, go out to the parenting workshop this evening at the Villa Primary School for those parents in the community surrounding. And we are over and out. Have a good evening and see you next Wednesday.
I bet you can do with some delicious creamy pasta, a big fat juicy burger, a spare ribs meal, pizza with extra cheese and toppings that you don't plan on sharing with anyone, or maybe it's the finger-licking good chicken from you know where, or it's the spicy fried rice, beefy taco burrito, barbecue chicken, or sweet and sour pork.
That sounds good.
Whatever you're craving, find your restaurant at quickserve.com. Instantly order for delivery or skip the line with our pickup option. Crave, click, eat with Quick Serve. Visit quickserve.com. Quick Serve, delivering awesome food to your door.
A trust fund guarantees the CCJ its independence. How is that possible? Will the funds ever run out? Where will the additional funds come from? Bring your questions to a public forum on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m., featuring none other than the chairman of the Board of Trustees that manages the trust fund of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Dr. Linton Lewis. Another night of thorough discussion on an important aspect of the Caribbean Court of Justice ahead of the November 6th referendum. It's happening on Thursday, September 27th at the All Saints Pentecostal Church at 6:45 p.m. Be informed and make your vote count.
Explore the world of exquisite dining and entertainment at the 3rd Annual Sip and Savor Wine Pairing Classic. This event will be held at the Wadadley Animal Nature Park, Sunday, 14th October 2018, from 3 to 7 p.m. Pamper your precious palate with delectable delights, prepared to please